Hi everyone, thank you for being across the table with us. My name is Kimberly.
And I'm Angela.
We're so excited that you're here today. Today we're going to go over the Enneagram. What?
What?
Okay, if you're wondering what that is, it is a personality assessment. I don't like to call personality assessments personality tests because there's no right or wrong answer with a personality assessment. We were all created differently, and we're going to talk about that today. Truthfully, I have no idea what I'm talking about today.
We are not experts,
Totally not experts.
but it's fun.
But it is fun, and it's one of those things where everyone seems to be talking about the Enneagram. So we're going to dive a little bit into it and, open up that conversation. And we hope that you'll join us and find it valuable.
Maybe you can explore what you are after you are done with this. If you already know, you might find this a little bit fascinating. If you don't know, then maybe maybe look at it a little more, and maybe you'll be like, not for me. And that's okay. But we are all created in God's image, and you have unique characteristics, and every single one of the personalities in the Enneagram are so useful. And so there's no one that, I wish I was this one, or I wish I was that one, but it just helps you navigate who you are, or maybe helps you figure out why you do the things that you do, and help you become healthier.
Exactly.
We should go over each of the numbers just quickly, maybe some of the good traits.
Sure. Yeah, so let's talk about what it looks like to operate in your Enneagram number from a healthy perspective. Because so often we read about our personalities and then we hone in on what's negative.
Right.
And let's just push that aside. We have enough of that in our lives. So let's talk about what it looks like to operate in a healthy way, and also to recognize the qualities in others so that we can work better with them.
Right. That's what I have learned the most is I know what I am, and that's great. But usually when you do personality tests, you don't know what anybody else is. So It's fun for me when somebody goes, I'm number blank. And I'm like, okay, that totally helps me understand this and why you're not understanding this about me, and it just and how we can work together. And
sure.
So, yeah. So if you do find out your number after this, please let me know, because it helps each of us.
Yeah, we would love to know what your number is. So let's start with 1.
Okay. So the ones are often called the performer.
The performer or the reformer?
I think I've read both.
Oh, okay.
So it's the person that is pretty rational, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they're rational, they are purposeful, so they do everything for a reason. They know what they're doing, it makes sense.
It's routine, and they always strive to do their best.
They're more of our analytical person, wouldn't you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that could fit into that category. Yeah. Okay, and then there's the 2s. The 2s are called the helper in general, and they are generally caring and very hospitable, usually the connector of people.
And the 3 is the achiever, which those are very driven. They are success-oriented, goal-oriented.
Yeah, good leaders. And the 4s are sometimes called the romantic or the individualist. They are sensitive, and they are highly creative, and they're just, one of my favorite things about them is that they are really attuned to beauty, and just really comfortable with themselves. They're
very aware.
Yeah,
It's nice. It's like when you read in the Bible all those poetic verses, I'm always like, I wish I could write like that.
right.
I think that's what an individualist would be.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we have the investigator is a number 5. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. That's more Mission Impossible, isn't it? Right. Okay. Inspector Gadget. I don't know.
They're very observant.
They are very observant.
Yes.
They're perceptive.
Yes.
They can be intense.
Yeah, they do a lot of research, and they're very innovative. I know a lot about 5s. I have a 5 in my family, so so
They speak to my inner nerd. I love it.
Yeah, and they really trust themselves too. Their inner gut. They trust what
their intuition. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have number 6, the loyalist.
Yes. Loyalists are very committed, very reliable. a good person to have on your team. They trust their experiences.
They're responsible, so you can depend on them.
And very logical.
Yeah. And number 7 is the enthusiast.
These are those fun people.
Yeah, they're the ones that they walk into the room and you just know. You feel their energy.
Yeah.
They're very inspiring.
And you know what? One of my favorite things about them that something that I don't have is they're very spontaneous, which I love. Like we've talked about this before. I'm a big planner.
Sure.
So I love though when spontaneous things happen. Of course, it's always the best time.
Yeah.
So I love that about them, and they don't tend to worry either.
Right.
Like that's not one of their healthy traits.
Because they're versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the 8 is the challenger.
Challengers are really good at making quick decisions. They don't have to think about it. They got it.
This is where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're driven.
They're another one that is a good leader. There's a couple, like I said, a couple numbers that are good leaders. And one of the cool things that I read about the 8s is that they have a lot of courage and to do things that most people wouldn't do. And so they just accept. It actually even we've talked about this in the past, so I thought this was really cool. They accept that vulnerability is just something that you have to do, and they overcome it. So I think that was really cool about the 8s.
Yeah. Let's make vulnerability normal.
Right? Let's make it in all the numbers.
Yeah. I think that would be a good thing. And then we have the peacemaker, which is often the Enneagram number for many of our presidents. They are very reassuring. They are receptive, agreeable,
mediators. And they also are unselfish. Very flexible. So that's pretty cool. Usually, depending on what kind of test or whatever you want to call it, you take assessment that you take, they give you a wing to go with your person, with it, whatever your number you are. So a lot of us are, whatever number that you are, you have a wing, which is the number up or down from you. And so you tend to have a couple different, characteristics of another quality.
So if you were a 1, you would be either a wing 2 or a wing 9.
Right. So if you're a 2, you'd be a 1 or a 3 next to you. So we all have, and you and I were talking about this before, we all have a little bit of all of these. It's not as if you are in one particular thing and you never have those other traits.
Correct. And I think you can evolve too, because you go through life and certain experiences are going to change who you are as a person. So I think it's important to take your Enneagram often and to keep an open mind. And also, if there's a trait that you don't like in yourself, that if you see that there's one that you aspire to have, you can surround yourself to people that are like that so that you can learn to, sharpen that skill.
Right. I've just found it helpful to, once I found my number, to figure out, how is this helping me? Like, just because I know what I am, I should already know what I am, right? So how is this helping me? And it's helped me understand my strengths and my weaknesses, but not focus, like we were talking about earlier, focus on my weaknesses. But it's helped me, because there's different levels of, you can be a health, I'm just going to tell you, I'm a 2. And so I can either be a healthy 2 or I can be an unhealthy 2. And so it's helping me to understand that. And also, when somebody isn't a 2, that they're not going to think the same way that I'm thinking. And so that is what I have learned the most about it. For example, I would choose generally have needs and they like to be needed. And so, but we can usually figure out somebody else's needs just by being in a room with them, or, maybe the way that they're holding themselves. We usually know that there's a need. And so usually we can just identify that. And so, but being a 2, we kind of think sometimes that people should just know what we need. And so that's what I've learned the most with my husband, is that I tend to do that. I tend to assume that he's going to know what I need. And so then the inner voice inside of me gets annoyed when he doesn't.
Got it.
And so once I learned this, I was like, oh, not everybody.
He's not a mind reader?
Right.
What?
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I wanted him to get something, get me, and I'm like, why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he, why doesn't he think this is important? And finally I'm laying in bed one night and he's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm actually using my Enneagram right now and realizing that you don't know what I need. And he's like, nope, let me know. So that that has totally helped me.
He's like, that book was worth every penny.
Right. Yeah. So then I had him take it. In my head, I kind of knew already what he was, but he happens to be an investigator, a 5, and so for him, it takes him a while to process decisions. And so I tend to, be, hey, you want to do this, or hey, you want to do that, or you want to go here, you want to go there. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't answer me right away. Like it's like he just has to process it and try to figure out, do I really want to do that, or do I don't, or, and he's more of an observer. And so even if we talk about something that has nothing to do with going anywhere, but just research or what do you think about this? He doesn't answer me right away a lot of times. And so it's more the way, but that's not how I do it. So that's what's helping me a lot, is just making less assumptions and just seeing people for who they are.
To be a better communicator.
Yeah.
And listener.
Right. In both relationships, this could be in the workforce.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely in the workforce too.
Yeah.
With your kids.
Friends. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we do so much assuming in our lives that other people are just like we are.
Yeah.
And I guess this is helping me looking through other people's lenses.
Well, it's funny you say that we do a lot of assuming, because I'm an 8, which is a challenger. And I have literally said out loud to people, well, until you say that there's a problem, I'm just going to trust that there's not a problem. And I'm moving forward.
Right.
Which can get bad, because then I have someone like a 2 that's caring, and they're thinking about all these things, and they're like, how come Kimberly doesn't care about what I need right now? And it's because I'm saying or thinking, if you have an issue, you're going to tell me.
Right.
Which is so funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that all these personalities are so needed. I can't imagine a room full of 2s, and we'd all just be caring about each other, and we probably wouldn't get anything done.
But I think that that's where we work so well together, is because I'm like, this is what we're doing, and we're going to move forward, and we just do it, And you are so good about taking a moment to reflect on, what do our listeners need? Where are they at? And let's think about that. And, it's very good about that. So we balance each other, and it's nice that we can use each other's strengths to work together.
Let's talk about what that looks like if we are on let's say a work project. Like, how helpful would it be to know on your team, what number the person is, or whatever, or any kind of project, than be work, but any kind of project.
Sure. So let's consider that we're having a big event at work, and how can we plan that together and get the entire company to be seated in this one room, and everyone get the message and feel appreciated and all of that, right?
Right.
So it's going to take someone to make a decision that that's a need,
right,
that we have. And so what are our good decision makers? The numbers.
Right. Who's going to be creative and make it, not just boring.
Right. And so then we're looking at our 7s like, oh my gosh, you're so fun. You would be great at creating the space and also welcoming people. Mm-hmm. 2s would be good at welcoming people and making them feel like they are cared for.
Right. And the 7s can also work with the 4s, because 4s are highly creative. Mm-hmm. So it would be interesting to put yourself in those little...
Yes.
And do what you...
Yeah.
Not that you can't do other things, but you're going to feel most comfortable and most useful in how you naturally think.
Sure. And so someone that's an 8 like me, while I may be great at making decisions, I'm not good at the details. So having a 1 that is very structured and more analytical, mm-hmm. that will make sure that all the information is there that we need in order to move forward, is super important. Same with having a 5 investigator that's going to look at what are we missing right now before we can execute this and make sure that it goes according to plan. What do we need? And they're really great at figuring that out, mm-hmm. of what we need. And then we have
the 9s, who are definitely the ones that would go in and be like, okay, well, this 8, you're probably not realizing this right now because you're a really good leader, but you're not realizing that these people aren't really like work meshing well together, and we need to step in and be like mediate and like realize, okay, what's going to make both people work together. And so we definitely need a peacemaker in the group.
Yes. And we definitely need 6s because they're committed and they're
gonna be
reliable. So when an 8 is, okay, I'm doing this and I've moved on, the 6 is saying, okay, that was your direction, so I'm in it and I'm going to do the work that needs to be done to get there, which is really awesome.
I can imagine that being an 8 that you would really, really get along with 6s because you would have no problem handing it over to them and them doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There'd be no like wonder, like, is that going to get done?
Yeah.
You
I
know?
love people that I can just trust that see the vision and then just run with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we covered all the numbers and the ones are also good with routine and they're very rational, so they are also sort of the workers as well. I think we got all of them.
Yeah. So see how just one project you can work together. I mean, here's the thing about learning about the Enneagram is that we often focus so much on our own personality, but if you are able to really hone in and understand the strengths of each personality, you'll see that we're better together.
Totally.
And that's what this is really all about.
Totally. And I think that we can all, use our strengths in different ways, and then, out in our community. It doesn't even have to be at work. Like some of us are like, well, I'm not on a group project. I work by myself at home and I'm an entrepreneur. That's good too, but we can go out in the community. So like, how can you use your strength in the community? As a 2, one of my strengths is hospitality. So I do host a lot of things in my house, and it's something that is super easy for me to do. I'm not nervous by it. No, I'm nervous about doing what I'm doing right now. I'm nervous about talking to you. You don't know this, but I'm sweating. but that's what I'm nervous about. But I'm not nervous about opening up my house, and that would terrify somebody else. Being hospitable is one of my things, and so when I'm out in the community, it's easy for me to do that. So I can bring these strengths other places, not just the workforce. How do you see any of these being used out in the community?
So I feel like I'm talking about myself because I know my Enneagram the most, but as an 8, a challenger, I love to create. I've got that entrepreneurial spirit, and so we're very good at seeing where a need is and having a vision to just create what needs to be done, and then we depend on others to kind of fill in where those needs are.
Right.
And that's where I think that 8s are really great at creating a team. And then if you can fill that team with different spectrums on the Enneagram, that you can really all come together and create a beautiful community.
Yes. How cool would it be if we all knew like how we all worked, right? Like God created us so uniquely and to be used for his purpose, and nobody wants to be all the same number. I mean, I just think it's really neat how we can just figure this out. And there is a book, my dear friend Paula, if you're watching this, Paula, she was the one that told me about this. So probably, I don't know, a couple months ago when we were having coffee, and she's like, hey, she was explaining something with her daughter and saying, oh, she says so-and-so on the number. And I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea what you're talking about. But then I got fascinated by it. But this book, we'll link it here, but it's called The Road Back to You. And it is written by a couple of Christian authors, and they just kind of take you through and realize that it's showing you your strengths, and it's just been really helpful to figure out like a self-discovery, and like I said, not just for yourself, but understanding your family and your friends. And so we'll link that in the end of the notes.
Yeah.
I hope you learned a little bit today about what Enneagrams can, help you with navigating yourself and your friends, and
just to better understand yourself and others, and
it's, if nothing else, it's fun.
Yeah. So we'll also include a link so that you can take the Enneagram assessment and learn for yourself what personality number you are. And then if you'd like, you can also have your spouse or your best friend or your mom or your dad take it.
And your kids. It's really helpful to have your kids take it. My kids took it, and I was like, yep, that's you.
I wonder at what age it's good to have your kids take it.
It's a good question. Mine are all in their teens, so
Yeah.
I'm going to try it with them. You could ask the questions to them.
Yeah, I could. My kids are 5 and 7, so
Yeah.
they're younger, but it would be neat to see.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I could, if I took a closer look at this, that I could figure out exactly what they are. I did learn with the 5 languages of love that kids are often all 5 languages until they get to a certain age. So that's kind of what I was
Interesting.
wondering with the Enneagram, if it works the same. I don't know.
Probably. They're trying to figure out who they are still when they're
Yeah.
Oh.
Still learning.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We appreciate you learning about the Enneagram with us, and we're excited for you to join us across the table next week.